Good morning, Indiana. Sunny day. Good afternoon, Indiana, actually. Today is Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021. It's a beautiful day here in Indiana. The sun is out, the snow is melting, and we have a nice guest here. Today we have Cheryl Jackson on the line. Cheryl, how are you?
Fine, Trey. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. I have a lot of questions to ask you. And my first question is, well, actually, before we get to those questions, why don't you tell our viewers what's your title?
I'm a journalist in residence at Emerson College, and I teach students to do just what you're doing. I teach them how to be on television.
That's a wonderful thing that you do, Cheryl. Keep up the good work. And my first question is, what was your major in college?
I was a journalism major. My undergraduate was in newspaper because at first I wanted to be a newspaper reporter, which I did for a long time. And then I went back and got my master's degree in broadcasting. And so both of my degrees are in journalism, one in newspaper writing and one in broadcast.
Okay, that's wonderful. When did you know that you wanted to be a journalist?
All my life. I mean, I was on my newspaper, high school newspaper. I always had journals. I still have them, from when I was writing when I was young. And so I never had any idea that I wanted to be anything else. I always thought I wanted to be a reporter or a journalist of some kind.
Now, as you know, Barack Obama was president for 8 years. Hillary Clinton ran against Donald Trump to be president back in 2016. How did you manage to get the interviews with both Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama?
Well, they both were campaigning when they were running against each other in Indiana, and I was reporting for WRTV 6. You remember that when I worked at 6?
Yes, I do.
And so whenever I was reporting at Channel 6, we covered them every time they came to town to campaign. So I interviewed both of them numerous times and also interviewed Michelle Obama, who also came to town to campaign for Barack Obama.
Now, when you were working at RTV6, did you know that you would eventually work at CNN?
I don't know if I knew much about how that whole journey was going to go because I started working in television when I was 40. So I wasn't really sure how it was all going to play out. I was working at RTV6 and CNN started picking up my stories. And so then the recruiters contacted me. That's how I ended up working at CNN. So I don't know that I thought that I had that big of a plan. I just was trying to do journalism in another way. So I don't know that I thought that it would end up that way.
Okay, let's talk about your lovely daughter. She's an actress, as you can imagine. And how do you feel about her pursuing her dream, getting those big roles?
Well, I would say that initially I wasn't happy about it. And, when she told me that she finished college at Indiana, her degree was in international studies and Spanish. And so I expected maybe she would do something in those areas. But as soon as she graduates, she said, I'm moving to New York. And she moved to New York and started in an acting class and ultimately started kind of making money in commercials. So as you know, Chaley's probably biggest role is probably Nashville or some of the Hallmark movies that she does. And I learned to accept that she was going to be an actor after I started to understand that it was a craft. It didn't seem like much of a craft to me because I didn't know about it. And I went to a few of her acting classes and then I started to get it. And so I'm proud of her and I accept it, but it wasn't initially what I wanted for her to do. And I don't know, one day she just told me, Mom, this is my life. So.
Now, as you know, 2020 was a challenging year for all of us. As you know, what were you doing before COVID hit?
Well, it's funny because we were in the classroom, we were in the studio doing stories. And so the way I teach students is we go out and we cover things. So we go to New York Fashion Week or we go cover some event. And we were out and about. The month before COVID, I'd been to the Iowa caucuses with a group of students who covered that. And then I went to New York to cover Fashion Week with a group of students. And then we came home and we were back in the studio only a couple of weeks and they shut us down. And so Emerson College forced our classes online to protect us from COVID. And so then we started trying to figure out how to teach television production from online. That was hard.
Are you guys back open yet?
We are part-time in the classroom, part-time online. So we do a lot of our editing and writing online. And then like Thursday, we'll go in and we're going to do some live shots about vaccines. We're going to do some interview people about vaccines, and then we're going to put together stories.
Wow, that's awesome. That's amazing what you guys are doing. What is your goal in 2021?
I've had a lot of the jobs that I want, and I think after being in the pandemic, I think the thing that matters most is really, family and, peace and all those kinds of things. And so in 2021, I want to focus on just slowing down and appreciating things more, even though I feel like I do that a little bit more than most, but I really would like to do more of that. I got a late start in my career because I was raising children and I wrote a column. And then I was 40, I started my career. So I've been running fast and hard for a lot of years to kind of elevate my career. And so now I'm ready to slow down and focus on, what's next for my life.
If you had the opportunity to be on television again, or if anyone wanted to hire you, would you consider taking that job?
No, not in general news. I wouldn't. I got out of the news business on my own. I still had an agent. They were still signing my contracts. But I was tired of standing in the snow, in the sleet, in the rain. That working for CNN in Chicago was 200 days of flying to another little town. Like, well, we might fly to Indianapolis and do a live shot, and then we might fly to Detroit. It was just not fulfilling for me to be able to just do these quick stories and not be able to do a real story, a long story. So no, I'm not interested in, I made that decision. The only way I would do something is if I could do longer versions of stories, like something for PBS or something like that.
What is it like to be in the mainstream media?
I think it's challenging because people have spent a lot of time blaming the mainstream media for a lot of things. And so people have an idea that people in mainstream media are all holding hands and having like a little meeting, getting together to deceive the rest of the population, when in fact we're all different. We're from different races, different cultures, different religions. When I tell a story, it's going to be different than when you tell a story, and that's the way it's supposed to be. So when people blame the media for different things that are happening, you have to try to find the truth, the people who are telling the truth. Find a reporter that you like, that you feel like tells the truth, and follow them, and not get caught up in. There is a lot of fake news, and I think a lot of people fall for that. They believe the fake news is the real news, and that makes them disrespect the actual news. And it's a complicated time, but it's also an exciting time. Students are still very excited about doing news, just like you. I mean, you're still excited about doing this.
Yes, I really am excited about doing this. This is what I like to do.
Yeah.
So thank you for your time, Cheryl Jackson. It was nice interviewing you.
Thank you for your time, Tre, and a very good interview. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.